Hey friends, welcome back. So today we're going to start a new project series. This is going to be one that's based on getting my dad's studio together. So just a brief history. My dad put his studio together in around 2003. So all of the gear that is currently down here is basically great and cool stuff from 2003, but it certainly has its limitations. So a little bit on the space. This is in my parents' basement, still in their house. Um, my parents built this room for me actually when I still lived at home, um, because their son was a drummer and in high school, so that was loud and not very good. So the space has an exterior door. It's got convoluted on all the walls, convoluted foam. There's extra foam in all of the ceiling, and they did double thick drywall down here, so it is a bunker, which is kind of nice. Actually, it's I think whoever buys this house after them can probably make a pretty rockin' home theater down here. But in the meantime, so a little bit on my dad. Dad's a bass player, despite the amount of guitars here. So he's got some pretty cool amps. Um, he's got some pretty cool amps and some pretty cool guitars. And he just basically needs a way to come downstairs and just kind of escape from the world. So that's what the studio is for him. The issue that he's having at the moment is that Dell computer that you're looking at down there is from 2003. My parents got that for me when I was a junior in high school, so I would say that he needs a new computer. So the thing that I'm working on at my house is I've got a rack mount computer that I used as my main studio computer for years, that I am getting ready for it. So we're going to install Cubase on that, because those of you who may or may not know, I'm a pretty diehard Nuendo user. So we're going to install Cubase on that for Dad because that's just a little bit lighter of a version, but still pretty much the same. So let's take a look at this gear. So back in 2003, 2004, Dad's friend was working at a company that distributed RME to North America. So he has got a Fireface 800 and an Octamic. So this particular interface, you do have 4 inputs on the front. And then you also have 4 mic inputs on the front. And you also have this instrument line input. So if you want to plug a guitar or something in, it even has this little drive emulator circuit that you can enable. The Octamic is just a standard 8-channel preamp. Nothing super fancy there, but it does have a really nice feature set on the back that you have not only XLR quarter-inch combo jacks to hit your preamps. You've also got 8 line level inputs and a DV25 on the back, in addition to ADAT. So as far as the equipment that we're keeping, we're going to keep this. So this is going to be his main preamp unit. The Fireface has got to go, though. Nothing against the way it sounds. It's just a very difficult interface to use. The routing software on the back end is just very dated at this point, and they may have an update for it. I honestly don't know, but it's as a professional audio engineer for many moon, I have a hard time figuring out how that routing works within there. So I'm going to replace this with a Motu 828. I have a surplus one that's not really doing anything, and it achieves basically the same functionality. There are quarter-inch XLR combo jacks on the front. There's an additional 8 line inputs and line outputs on the back. So it's basically giving you the same functionality that this is. Excuse me, it's just sans an additional 2 microphone inputs on the front, which actually just brings me to my next point. So Dad is a musician. His friends are musicians. They're not audio engineers. They're not studio people. Dad really has no desire to mix. He just wants to write songs and play with his friends. So, as far as like making a crazy production studio, he doesn't really need it. He just needs something that's really easy to use. So as a non-technical person, when Dad's friends come over, there's usually 3 of them, he is stuck being the audio engineer. So he's, it's not really a thing that he wants to do. So, if somebody wants more of something in their headphones, it can get a bit complicated and dicey for him. And, sometimes he's been known to just grab the gain pot here and overload his recording because he needed something to be louder in his headphones. So, no judgment on Dad. Dad's not an audio engineer. So what we ended up doing to make his headphone situation a little bit easier is we installed this mix wizard here. So speaking of friends, at the time, LM was building cases for the company that was distributing Allen & Heath in America. So if you ordered an Allen & Heath console at a specific period of time, the Tor case came in an LM case. So we got this mix wizard for him. And basically what we're doing is we're taking the direct outputs of the Fireface 800 and the Octamic and feeding them down into the mix wizard. So the 4 auxes here, these are going straight to the Behringer headphone amp that's up there. So you do have 4 individual mixes. They're mono mixes, but they are individual. So that's essentially what this is doing. So as far as the install goes, I'm going to install a mic split. I think that's going to be the easiest thing for him. I've got a little 1U 1-to-2 mic split laying around that I've had for years. So I'm going to install that for him. And basically what that's going to give him is it's going to give him 8 front-mounted XLR inputs so that if he wants to come in and plug in a mic, he can just do it right to the mic split. And then that will automatically mult to the recorder, and then to the other side of that is going to go into the mixer. So keeping his 8-channel Octamic up here, we're going to patch that right into the mic split. So the mic split's going to hit this. It's going to be a nice, easy knob for him to have to adjust the gains. So, channel 1 is going to be paralleled down to channel 1 on the console. Because the 828 has an additional 8 line inputs, we're going to take 8 channels of the mix wizard and dedicate that to the Octamic here, which is going to be nice and easy. And then the channels 9 through 16 on here are going to be, we're going to use the preamps for recording. So if he's got drums or any of that other kind of thing, the monitoring interface for him will still remain the same, but 8. Okay, apologies for low-tech technical problems. The battery in my gimbal just died. So the monitoring interface will be the same for everything. So it'll still be in a central location. Just half of the preamps will come from the Octamic, and the other half will come from the mix wizard. So this is a cool little console. It does have 2 banks of effects. So for things like I would like more reverb or anything like that, I can do that pretty easily here on the console without going into DAW land. So let's take a look at his speakers. So on the output side of things, he's got this Eames, I don't know how you say this. It's called a Mini Owl, which is kind of an interesting speaker. It is a stereo speaker in one cabinet, so that there's 2 XLRs that feed the back, and there are also 2 amplifiers and 2 power switches to turn it on. Below his work surface here, which is a flight case lid because, well, of course it is, there's a matching sub, and then he's got this little passive monitor controller here that was made by the company that distributed the RME products, which this is actually kind of cool. So, you've got XLR in, XLR out. You can, it's got a little 1/8 inch jack on the back, some RCAs. So, basic passive monitor controlling here. He can mute. He's got a volume control. You can push it to mono, and then, you're good to go. Other things in the rack. He's got this Behringer headphone amp here, and then this just American DJ power thing so that you can turn everything on and off. The monitors are kind of a pain to get to, the power plug, so we just put this little switch here. So that's all going to stay. Pretty much all of the gear that he has in this rack is going to stay other than the Fireface. I figured that it will sell the Fireface on eBay, and then that can be money for mics. So what we are going to do also is I have the TV that actually came down from my studio. We're going to hang that up on the wall there. That's just a 26-inch monitor. So he has another kind of global thing that he can look at. This rack is like a 25 or 30 space rack. So kind of overkill that he did, but he's also got this little sidecar rack filled with rack drawers for storage and stuff. So let's take a look at the back of this rack and just kind of give you an idea about wiring and what we're up to. Okay, so looking at the back here, this is the back of the Octamic. So it does have a little Hosa snake that's going into it. That's just a local that's right by the drum kit in the back. So here are those inputs. The TRS cables that you're seeing are the outputs. It does have DB25 in there as well as ADAT. In the back of the Fireface is the same thing. This thing had Firewire 800 in it, which is super snazzy for 2003. The back of the Mix Wizard is what you would anticipate for a normal featured analog console, which is nice. It does have inserts, 1/4-inch jacks, and it does have direct outs on every channel. So that's why I want to use, that's why I want to use the channels 9 through 16 for additional recordings. He's got a set of JBL speakers in here, which he uses for, if he wants to have a rehearsal or anything. So the main outs of the console are actually patched there. So I'm going to keep that wiring the same for him. That'll help him so that if he wants to play music down here, or, they want to not do a headphones jam session, which is basically what they do. They just play acoustic guitars and kind of sing. They can play back for something loud because they're all kind of old and they all kind of lost their hearing, so they need a little bit more volume. Yeah, that's the back of our rack here. All right, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Stay tuned. This is going to be a project that happens pretty fast. This is Dad's Christmas and birthday present. His birthday is on New Year's Eve, so I'm trying to get this all done right before Christmas. So stay tuned. More is coming at you. The next project is going to be building some cables for him.